Good afternoon. My name is Arthur Salisbury, and I'm calling from Kansas City, Missouri, home of the Heartland. And I appreciate having this opportunity to give an overview of the mission of the Kansas City District U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It is noon here, so I'm 2 hours in front of you. And so thank you for this opportunity today. Next slide. I will be going over our mission, program trends, civil works priorities, military program priorities, environmental, and questions that may be right after, or they may table them to the end of my presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, what we have is our civil work boundaries. Our area of responsibility primarily is Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, and Nebraska. And that extends in our civil works program over to Colorado. And in our environmental programs, it extends over in the New York area of New York, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, et cetera. Okay? We've got 18 project lake offices that are covered by our civil works program. Next slide, please. Here's our military boundaries. We've got 3 Army installations: Fort Riley, Fort Leavenworth, Fort Leonard Wood. We have 2 Air Force installations: Whiteman, where they have the Stelt, and McConnell Air Force Base. Next slide. Okay, here is our program trends. I want you to pay attention to the last 2 columns at the bottom quad of this slide. We projected $490 million in execution. I believe our execution was actually closer to about $700 million. We are projecting, as you see there in the last column, we projected $152 million for fiscal year 20, and we are projecting about $490 million in our civil works program in fiscal year 2021. And this is a program analysis from fiscal year 14 up into the outer year of 2022. Next slide, please. Okay, we've got a levies program. We like to put those projects out there that you may be trying to align your company to navigate to go after these particular procurements. As we can see here, most of these have been executed primarily, unless they are slipping. I think we've got one here slated for a flood wall valued for $300 million. And the presentations will be made available after this webinar today, okay? So we've got something here that we anticipate that we are going to advertise in second quarter in January with an anticipated award in April. Like I said, it's in the monetary threshold of about $300 million, and that's something that you may want to take a look at, okay? Next slide. Okay, here are other levee rehab projects that we have here. See here. We've got the Manhattan, Kansas levee construction project estimated to be out in third quarter with anticipated a construction award of fourth quarter there in a range of $10 million to $20 million. So I won't go over all of these because, like I said, these will be available after the webinar today. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free, because my contact information will be available to you as well. Next slide, please. Okay, here are other ones. Long Branch, and these are all anticipated for, let's see here. Only Turtle Creek here, the last one in the second column there, is one that's going to be available for you to posture yourself to go after there. Turtle Creek Rip Rap in a range of $1 to $5 million, design, bid, build. Next slide, please. Okay, we also have architect engineering contracts that we go out on. They're basically a base plus options for additional 5 years. It just contingent upon whether or not the capacity is utilized and used up before the period expires. We've got some here. Let's see, these are existing ones. And if you look over in the second column, let's see here. Yeah, all of these are ongoing. All these are ongoing. And what we do is monthly and quarterly at a district level and at a Northwest Division level up there with Mr. Christopher Harper. We look at how much capacity is remaining so that we can posture ourselves to go out and get new capacity to be able to deliver the mission in our architect engineering relevant to those programs. Next slide, please. Okay. We've got here a new ROCKS contract considered. We're talking about doing maybe a small business invitation for bid, maybe a MATOC, multiple award task order contract, as well as a large business IFB. We've got, let's see here, in place right now, road repair MATOCs that expire in May of 2022, as well as road repair construction MATOC. That's good for up to 8 years. Next slide, please. Okay, here's our military program trend assessment. You can look here. We estimated fiscal year 20 that we did about roughly 600 million. And we had some projects, I'm sure, that are moving to the right to be executed in fiscal year 2021. We're anticipating about $375 million. And that always varies because sometimes we have projects at the end of the fiscal year that come in our MILCON programs. Customers have additional funds and they try to get additional maintenance and repair type work done with those funds that come in there. Our MILCON program is historically robust. We do a lot of work in the MILCON program, and normally it is the biggest driver of our 3 main programs. Normally, MILCON leads the way, followed by our environmental program, followed by our civil works program. Next slide, please. Okay, these were our 2020 priorities. Some of these extend over to 21. We also have what we call is a mega contract branch, and that is for major acquisitions, one of which here is the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, known also as N2W. This is a project that's about a total of about $1.7 billion. It was awarded in 2019, and it is anticipated not to be completed until 2023 or 24. And the good thing about that particular mega award is that a lot of the earmarked small business portions are just now about to come up for execution in fiscal year 21 and 22. Support of the Fort Leonard Wood Hospital, that is a continuation. Lake City Army Ammunition Plant, and we're looking at also doing another medical center in St. Louis as well. Next slide, please. Okay. We've got here, let's see, Whiteman Air Force Base Consolidated Vehicle Maintenance Facility, designed, bid, built, $20 to $30 million, unrestricted, that we're going to advertise here in the next 3 quarters, in the first quarter of fiscal year 2021. So we're talking about it is October now, so this may be released, synopsized somewhere in November or December. We have also got a modernized of Lehman Gate, $4 to $6 million, which will be a small business set aside, and it should have been advertised here in 4th quarter. That just expired, and we anticipate an award in fiscal year 21. Next slide. Okay. These are some of those projects that I spoke of when I talked about our MilCon program having additional projects that customers have funding for. They're called SRM projects. These are additional funds, appropriated dollars that come in, and we had forecasted roughly about 50 actions totaling about $200 million. And that focus was on renovations, historical buildings, maintenance, infrastructure, and Army training areas. This is something that always gives the small business program a shot in the arm when we execute these projects. Some of these, I know the government is heavy laden with acronyms, so I'll try to give you a leeway on some of these as you look at those contract tools there. MATOC, multiple award task order contract. A SATOC, a single award task order contract. POCAs, procurement-oriented construction activities. AE, architect engineering. Job contracts, requirement contracts. Next slide, please. Okay. Here's a forecast about construction and A&E and other service contracts. Most of these we've got here in the first column there, Fort Riley SATOC, a single award contract estimated to be in the range of $50 million. We're talking about advertising it this fiscal year. We've also got roofing requirements in the range of about $15 million, and we also anticipate having a single award task order contract of about $9.5 million to support activities at Fort Leavenworth. Okay, let's see here. These things on the right side here for A&E are pretty much already in place, other than the second one there, unrestricted military architect engineering, MATOC, multiple award task order contract in the range of about $150 million. Anticipating award here in the next 3 months, next 2 months. And a bed down at Air Force installation. See here that we're looking for an early award here in 2021. Next slide. Okay, this is one of our mega projects, the ones I spoke to previously. Like I said, it's in the monetary range of about $1.7 billion. The design build contractor is McCarthy Hit. It's in place. So we have points of contact if you might be interested in subcontracting opportunities on this project. As you can see here, as I spoke to previously, at the bottom portion of this slide, small business acquisition, design, bid built, that we're looking at access control points, 2 of each in second quarter of fiscal year 22, a remote inspection facility, also in second quarter of fiscal year 2022, and a visitors control center, first quarter of fiscal year 2023, as well as acreage landscaping. Next slide, please. Fort Leonard Wood Hospital, $381 million award, okay? And it is estimated for completion in October of 2023. Future contracts, as you look here, in the middle of this slide here, we've got optical pipe fabrication lab, small business set-asides, fourth quarter 2024. We've got below that, we've got set-asides relevant to the demolition of existing facilities, as well as future small business set-asides for site improvements. So we got a lot of subcontracting opportunities that are going to be available for these mega contracts that are currently in place. Next slide, please. Lake City Arm Ammunition Plant. It's basically on hold. And once that decision has been rendered on this, we'll know a path forward. And like I said, these slides will be available. Is this something that you think you might be interested in as a program amount of about $250 million, and it may be something that you're interested in. Please feel free to contact me, and I'll put you in touch with the technical people to see what opportunities would be available there. Next slide, please. Okay, John Cochran Division, a hospital for Veteran Affairs, program amount about $850 million. We're talking about 5 structures there: bedding tower, warehouse, water tower, abuse clinic, parking garage. Okay. We're in the design phase of it. As you can see, 35% will be completed probably in the 3rd quarter. So construction phase, small business acquisition, undetermined at this time. So that's where it affords me an opportunity as a small business advocate to meet with contracting and program management to take a real hard look at this project to see what makes sense and what would be severable to be set aside for the small business community. Next slide, please. This is our environmental program. Hazardous toxic radioactive waste is what the acronym stands for, HTRW, okay? Like I said, primarily a lot of this work is done on the East Coast, and we anticipated, we did roughly about $144 million. We are anticipating a similar trend of about $111 million. A lot of these contracts are cost reimbursable because once you get into the soil, you don't know what you're going to be adherent to. And so a lot of times it is imperative that you have a cost reimbursable type accounting system if you're going after some of this type of work. A lot of work on the construction side is firm fixed price, but oftentimes in our environmental program calls that you have a cost reimbursable type accounting system. Within those programs, we've got Superfund, Fuse Wrap, BRAC, IRP, FUDGE, formerly utilized defense sites, are some of those programs within our HTRW program. Next slide, please. Okay, environmental program, like I said, we utilize quite a bit of pre-placed contracts. Okay, we've got several planned ID, indefinite delivery, IQ, indefinite quantity acquisitions that we plan to put in place. Acquisition strategy expires 2021 of March. So we'll be placing solicitations for the next batch that we'll need out there to deliver the mission for our environmental program, okay? Ms. Jill Fraley is our chief of our environmental program, Jason Lieber, and you can see their email addresses there, and these slides will be available. And at the end of my presentation, it has all of our senior leaders on the technical side, contracting, and executive offers with commander and deputy commander. Next slide, please. Okay. These are IDIQ acquisitions that are already kind of in place here, should have been awarded by now. Hopefully I will be able to get with the technical staff and revise these to what is out there and upcoming in 2021 to better posture you for what we've got coming up prior to our national virtual Society of American Military Engineers conference that will be in November. Next slide, please. These are other acquisitions that should be at a point of award, so I really won't go over those. Like I said, I plan to update these and make them available to you. Next slide. Okay, here are other planned acquisitions. We've got one out here, $176 million. It's just now about to be advertised. We anticipate soliciting here in late first quarter, probably November. We're in the process of the coordination for approval with SBA. and it will be something that would be available for you to look at there. And then we also have, that I just looked at earlier this morning, we've got a pre-place premier action contract, multiple award, set aside exclusively for service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses under the NAICS code of 562910. And I just sent that to SBA this morning, Kansas City District, for coordination and approval. So that's a very meaty project for service-disabled vet. I'm anticipating that award, and that's something that really will give programmatically my program a shot in the arm in fiscal year 2021, and definitely assures attainment toward the Corps of Engineers service-disabled veteran goal for me that year. And then we also have there, we're looking at a radioactive waste disposal blanket purchase agreement, and we anticipate soliciting that first quarter of fiscal year 21. Next slide. Okay, here are other projects, $60 million. We're looking at potentially making five contract awards. This is for coverage throughout Northwest Division, so that could be Kansas City, Omaha, Portland, Seattle, or Walla Walla. $60 million for environmental remediation services. Okay, below we've got one there planned for full and open A&E. Next slide, please. All right, I'm getting toward the conclusion of mine. Here's our district engineer, Colonel William Hanna, Jr. Mr. Brian Smith is the Deputy of Program Project Management. That's myself there as the Deputy of Small Business. I would please say, reach out to me, you know, if you were sorting to have a meeting with Mr. Smith or the commander, I would say please coordinate through me for that. Next slide, please. Civil Works Chief, Melissa McCorkle. Jill Fraley, Environmental Branch. Tim Kurgan, who is acting, and he should be going back to his position as the Deputy Chief of Program Project Management, which is right up under Mr. Brian Smith. We have Jennifer Switzer of our Planning Branch. Next slide, please. Here's our contract division. Wendy Miller, our Chief of Contracting, is currently detailed for Lakes and River Division. Adam Hall is acting, who is her deputy. Dave Ross is the Chief of our Mega Contract Branch. Brad Wright, Military. Lacey Kay, Environmental. Matt Wilson, Civil Works. Next slide. That concludes my presentation. I look forward to the engagement and additional conversations and contacts relevant to helping Kansas City District deliver the mission. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity, and I would like to say without further delay, I would like to hand it over and introduce my counterpart, Mr. Daniel Corrales, the Deputy Chief of Small Business Programs for the Omaha District. And then lastly, this slide here is just doing business with Kansas City District Corps of Engineers. These are probably a lot of websites, links that you're already familiar with. And once again, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity today. And here's a list, yay, of the acronyms, a lot of them that I covered in my presentation. And like I said, once again, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to brief you on the Kansas City District program. Thank you.